this little boy named James. He went to clean his room, but upon opening the door of his bedroom, he looked across the horrendous mess. The clothes piled in the corner, the bookshelf that had overturned, and the books were scattered across the floor, the candy wrappers piled in the school desk. His bed was unkempt, his toys were everywhere, the closet door wouldn't even shut because of the amount of stuff inside. And he became overwhelmed. And James realized that the task of which his mother had asked him to do was bigger than he. He realized that what he needed to do was huge. And so instead of going into the heap of mess, James takes and he walks outside his bedroom door and he sits down just behind the door, just outside his door. And he stays there, overwhelmed, because he knows that this mess that he's made over a period of time is massive. And while he's sitting there, his mother comes by. It's been an hour, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. And his mother walks by. And as any good mother would, she checks on her son's progress. And she says, James, what have you been doing? And James goes, cleaning my room. And she looks into his room, and she's like, James, it doesn't look like you were ever even in there. He said, that's because I wasn't. And she said, I told you to go clean your room. And he looks at her and says, the mess is too big, Mama. The mess is too big. And she tells him, she says, go clean your room. He said, but Mama, I can't do it by myself. It's huge. Have you seen that mess in there? And as every wise mother has once or twice quoted in her life, if you made the mess, you can clean the mess. But this mother, being a compassionate mother, takes James by the hand, and she says, I'll help you. And so they walk into his room, and James looks at his mom, and she smiles down at him, and she says, we'll do it together. And so piece by piece, they work their way around the room. The job that was too huge for little James, he was able to complete with the help of his mother. One sock at a time, one bed made at a time, one book on the shelf at a time. Sometimes God calls us to do things that are bigger than us, that are messier than us, and that will truly bury us alive. And we can make excuses to him and say, the mess is simply too big. The mess is too huge. It's too big for me, God. But God is kind of like that mother. He looks down at you and says, you made the mess, go clean it. Or in other words, I told you to do something, now go do it. But I won't make you do it by yourself. I'll go with you. I'll help you clean it. And sometimes he gives us jobs to do that are bigger than us. I don't know what you're going through tonight, but I really felt like I needed to tell someone tonight. I don't know what God has called you to do. I don't. But I do feel like there's someone in here tonight that knows that God has called them to do something. And they're too scared of the mess to walk into the room and clean it up. But I also wanted to tell that person, whoever it is, that the mess may be too big by yourself. But God's there for you. And he'll guide you through it. And he'll help you clean that room. He'll help you, go through life. I myself have had times in life where it was simply too big. The problems were huge. The trials are huge. It was just too hard. But through the grace of God and his help, I got through it. Step by step, sock by sock, piece by piece. And there's a song that says, piece by piece, put me back together, Jesus. And if I'm not mistaken, which I might be mistaken, in that very song, it says Jesus will lead you through. And God will take you through the hardest times of life. When you don't think you can do it, when you don't think you can do it, when you don't think you can do it, He'll be there. These disciples went through horrible things. Paul even gives a list of the things he went through. Some of these disciples were persecuted and eventually killed, pretty much all of them except for John. They were murdered. But they didn't have to go through it alone. They didn't have to find their calling by themselves. They didn't have to follow through with this mission that God gave them by themselves. Because God did send a comforter. And He stayed with them, and He stayed beside them. And I know that I have done a rotten job this time. But I felt like somebody tonight needed to hear that they need to go clean the room. Stop fearing the mess. Stop fearing the monster. Stop fearing the what ifs and what happens and what if we can't and how do we do it and where